So Formula One may not have muscle cars, but they have muscle men.
Yeah, I mean, Hulkenberg, is it?
Okay, I'm gonna just shift focus between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Hugh Jackman. So in the first race they had Arnold. In the last race they had Hugh Jackman.
Well, who was Arnold in this case?
Arnold in this case was actually the man who went on the podium in Australia, which Kunal has completely forgotten.
Oh my, yeah, man, actually. God damn it.
And Jackman was a man who was, well, jacked literally yesterday during the pit stops and flew out of the Lotus corner and landed somewhere else with a broken intestine, I believe.
See, now you know why you're so crucially important to the Inside Line F1 podcast, Rishi.
Yes,
it's good to have you back. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. Firstly, apologies for the 2-week miss that we had.
You fell sick. How can you fall sick in a 20 race or a 19 race calendar, Rishi?
I'm so sorry. There was off season. Like there was 3 weeks. I was testing on my simulator. You know how it is.
Can you imagine if you were signed up with FOM?
Yes.
You cannot fall sick. You better land up, otherwise you have a financial penalty. I so hope Bernie does that to us.
Yeah, I know. God first give us the money, then take some back. That's all right. All right, 2015 Spanish Grand Prix. This race that happened yesterday. Congratulations, Nico Rosberg. Finally, you opened the account. Very happy. Thank you. Because if you hadn't, then this whole Lewis Hamilton walkover, which is obviously liked by a lot of people that listen to this podcast, would have been a little bland.
Yeah, and in a way it's good. It's spiced up the season, etc. Like we said last time, Bernie Eccleston called Mercedes and asked them to slow down. We don't know if this time he called Lewis Hamilton and said, "Hey, bro, slow down a little. You're my man."
I don't know if Mercedes was actually slowing down yesterday because, well, they were fast and Ferrari with 16, 17 new upgrades, at least on one of the cars, couldn't just see a glimpse.
Yeah. So did you enjoy the race, Rishi?
I am not going to turn around and say, oh, it was really good or it was Bahrain good or not Bahrain good or, I'm just not a big fan of the circuit in terms of racing. But it still was a good race. I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
Yeah, I mean, I won't call it thrilling, but it was very interesting a race.
Mm-hmm.
And, my mind goes straight to Lewis Hamilton versus Sebastian Vettel.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, it was super stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was stuff that the sport needs in its own patches. Overdose of that won't really be great fun. And I loved the way Vettel was defending, Hamilton was attacking, no bothering about tires and, dirty air, etc. And even though Hamilton didn't overtake him on track finally, it was some very good display of driving.
That was very good, very well called out by Mercedes also. A lot of people are saying, well, Ferrari should have tried to undercut them, etc., etc.
I believe so.
Yeah, you also believe so, but I don't think on track they could have actually fended off Lewis so much because they were super quick.
I absolutely agree they were super quick. But if I was on the pit wall of the Ferrari and though Vettel says that Hamilton's strategy is not mine to copy or whatever, the only way Ferrari could have kept Hamilton behind in a circuit like Catalonia is actually mirroring his race strategy. Because we all knew that in open air, Lewis Hamilton was quick and it's difficult to overtake in Catalonia. I just wish that Ferrari was probably more reactive and proactive and they would have just pitted Vettel at the same time.
Well, I think they were just trying to seal the podium position. Some people say Vettel's strategy was compromised, etc., etc. I believe they actually compromised Raikkonen's strategy because that last stint on that very, very, very long stint on the medium tyre was just dismal. I don't know how they expected him to take care of the tyre so long.
Maybe that's because he's Kimi Raikkonen and he's done it so often. They said, hey, do it once again for us. But Rishi, do you think that Lewis and Nico could have had a fair chance to fight for the win had Mercedes allowed them?
And if Lewis had had a clean start, you never know because with Lewis, he always knows how to master one of the two compounds at every given race better than Nico. So it would have been close for sure, but Nico was in his in his own league yesterday. That was also correct. So there's only one way one could have found out is by actually having both of them together. Mercedes clearly went out and said, we kept Nico out too long on the second tyre.
Yeah.
And we compromised a bit, but we knew he was going to win easy.
Yeah, but Mercedes is also getting shrewder in handling these two drivers. They were very clear and they said, listen, we admit that we kept both drivers clear of each other on track. So even they didn't want any troubles, but hats off, brilliant race to everyone.
Hats off to Bottas. I mean, Every race he's keeping a Ferrari away, and well, he knows how to place that Williams and make it look wider than it actually is, and he's doing a great job. Who knows, the rumors of him going to Ferrari might just be true.
Yeah, it could well be true. I mean, Raikkonen's doing a decent job, but he's still 5-0 on Vettel on qualifying.
Yes, it is.
And when a driver like Bottas comes your way, who's been so consistent and cool and calm and mature, you might well just say goodbye to Kimi Raikkonen. And guess what? The senior most Finn in this, Mika Hakkinen, somewhere believes that Raikkonen needs to prove himself more to be eligible for a Ferrari contract.
This is a man who's outrightly quick and known to be fast and aggressive, and those errors in qualifying mostly are really costing him. And he's up against another driver who's super quick in qualifying. So
But all of this again takes me back to Luca Montezemolo's comment. He said that Ferrari have been lucky in 2015. Do you agree with that?
I would turn around and say Alonso's been a bit unlucky this year, more than Ferrari being lucky. But as they've pumped in money, they've got the drivers. The engineers are doing a great job. I think the whole revamp. I think Arriva Bene's arrival is a bit lucky for them.
But I'll take that with a bit of a pinch of salt, because if you look at Red Bull and Renault, they've actually had far more troubles this year than maybe last year.
Which is surprising.
If you look at Williams, they look like they are the slower Mercedes engine. Okay, if you look at McLaren, I can't see them. I mean, you can't look at them. They're really down the grid. So maybe in all of this, Ferrari possibly has gotten luckier because they have kept at par or maybe gone a little faster than last year. But the other challengers have maybe fallen back. Maybe some food for thought.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And if I am the Red Bull racing car driver, I'm going to see Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen ahead of me on the grid and say, why do I have a junior team if they're beating me? I mean, why? Just give our team that money and let's just make
or maybe they just swap cars. No? I'd love to see Carlos Sainz in a really quick car. He's not had all the hype that Max Verstappen has had.
But he's damn good.
He's damn freaking good. I mean, look at the jeans he drives with.
Yes, of course. Yes, it is. Red Bull now turning a bit desperate, I believe, because now onwards is only damage limitation. They're on their 5th engines, I believe.
Yeah.
And that also is not going to last the whole of Monaco. I doubt. I have my doubts. But what I'm trying to say is when Christian Horner turns around and says, I don't care if we have to use 20 engines, but I need the performance. I mean, look at it this way. He doesn't have the reliability. He doesn't have the speed. What does he have? I mean, is that a barbecue or an engine?
But I like the way you put it, and I mean, when Christian Horner said, I don't mind using 20 engines, but let's get the performance there, maybe makes sense. I mean, given the existing engine, they're anyways performing, just about outside the top 10 or there, Imagine they get a quicker engine and it's, say, the 7th engine, okay, and they, because of power, are able to, start up much higher and then take a grid penalty. So, net, you're at the same starting place. It's just that you will have a better engine during the race.
Also, you don't have to worry about reliability and trying to cool it down and smaller ducts.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like a bull when it's not quick. You like the wild bull. Renault needs to make sure that Red Bull is really wild.
Well, if Renault won't, then Audi will. That's what Red Bull has said. And they've said, well, if we want to survive F1, if we want to succeed, if we want to be Red Bull the winners again, we need Audi. So get Audi.
Yes, and we should formally, before anyone else does, welcome Audi.
Yes, welcome on board.
Preempting it.
Yeah, you need to hire somebody for an F1 job. We're the people. Become cheap. All
right. You mean free?
A bag of Nutella or something. Okay, so here's the deal. Red Bull says that the new nose on the RB11 is a masterpiece. Now I've seen it's got shorter and stuff for the people who technically sound
I have no idea. I just know they've got a new nose.
I know, but what about the rest of the car?
Yeah, why do they lose focus? I mean, why just the nose? Why can't the entire car be an engineering masterpiece?
It's exactly my point. it's like a model turning around and say, oh, I've got a great nose and my eyes are bad, my face is otherwise dismal.
And we need the whole package.
Yes, absolutely. The rest of you can't look like a sexy Shakira nose and Dumbledore's body. You've got to be a little better than that. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, you need Dumbledore's magic. You need the magic wand. You need to do something about that car. That is a Red Bull I don't like to see lose because then they bring a lot of color to the grid. What do you think about Spanish Grand Prix getting an extension? I mean, a lot of people say it's great for testing. It's a good circuit, probably not for racing. Yes, the third sector does make stuff interesting, but
Yeah, I mean, even the first sector is brilliant. It's fast flowing and keeps going on. I think it's a great circuit, historical. Let's not lose it. It doesn't offer the best of races, but they're interesting races. I mean, Pastor Maldonado's won there. Let's remember that. And it doesn't often overtaking. But like I said, Formula One is not just about overtaking. It's also about the attempt to overtake.
Pastor gets me to the topic of Mad Max movie promotions. They've done it in the past as well, and Red Bull has also done some movie promotion. But do you think they got the wrong car? Because Mad Max, they could have gone for Max Verstappen. He's a Mad Max.
No, the minute you hear the word mad in Formula One, I guess Maldonado's a higher brand recall and a reconnect.
Poor Maldonado, I'm feeling bad for him. Now, this year he's actually not at fault, and look at that new rear wing that looked like 7. I mean, there was
an asymmetrical design.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Yeah. I mean, I know of girls' accessories that look like
But
that.
can you imagine? Can you imagine? Maldonado would be like, oh my god, that was a really mellow DNF I had. I'd rather have spectacular exits from my races.
Acha. Unceremonious exit, I tell you, for McLaren. I mean, coming to the race, they're like, oh, we're going to find so much performance and we're going to look for the midfield, etc., etc. And now, driver saying, oh, it was so scary. Whenever I came on the power, I was scared. We'll never score again in this season. I mean...
Yeah, and Alonso's home race.
Yep.
Okay. At a circuit at a race when the car he drove last year got onto the podium. Scary times, no? What do you think?
Scary for the Jackman again.
And imagine the Jackman is back. But imagine, when Jenson Button comes out and says that he may not score at all this year, and that's scarier. Okay.
That's really bad, and other people have gone and said that Alonso's made the stupidest move and he may not win. It can be really demotivating if nothing else. I mean, there's lots of money because they don't get the points.
Yeah.
They keep spending resources and don't get results, but this is gonna hurt.
Yeah, and like Jacques Villeneuve said that Alonso might never win again, and that is actually very tragic. But you know what? I keep faith and I keep heart in the fact that Fernando Alonso is getting paid to drive 66 laps, but he retires after the 30th. So he's still, I'd love a job like that.
Gets to go home early, chills, grows a beard. Wow, lovely Sunday. Driver of the day? Come on, quick question.
I would say Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, everybody's going to say that.
Really? I thought people would say Nico Rosberg.
A lot of people would say Bottas because he fended off another Ferrari in another race. But I believe Lewis, his aggressive strategy, his go-getter attitude, the fact that he was really, really angry when he was asked to hold position for Nico,
But I'm sure you are surprised that I like Lewis, much like I'm surprised that you were saying Lewis.
But he was good.
Yeah, and much like our readers are surprised that we are saying Lewis Hamilton. But you know what? I loved the fact that he was really charging. I think the one big difference that I find between Lewis and Nico is that Lewis will charge. He would have been like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Even if my tires go off the cliff, I have a 27 points advantage in the championship. And if it falls off the cliff, I'll manage the situation. But hey, for now, I'm going to charge. I'm going to charge Sebastian Vettel. After he got ahead of Vettel, he charged for Nico Rosberg as well. And I love that. Hey, I'm going to charge come what may. I don't give a damn about the tires. Otherwise everyone loves to cry about the tires.
Charge. Kunal, charge reminds me.
Oh my
We need to charge engines. But we may not need to charge engines. We may need to only charge one battery because there's this great suggestion that is coming from Bernie the man, my man himself. So what he says is, why don't we get the aspirated V8s back? Along with the Curse, whatever you called it.
Correct.
And then we'll give it to the teams who can't afford the expensive V6 turbos with 87,000 components in it and still have a race. We'll just have to match the output of both the engines. That makes sense. It's quite a logic.
See, it makes sense on paper. Okay, firstly, FIA has to police it absolutely well. Okay, to make sure that both the different formula of engine deliver the right kind of energy. But that's not the point. The point is you're still adding one more layer of confusion.
Correct.
Suddenly you'll hear one of the commentators say on the commentary that, hey, this guy actually went ahead because he's a V8 Curse powering him and that has 5,000 RPM more. And thank you, the fan who's just about tuned in, hoping for a battle, just gets more confused. So that's my view. I think we should move towards standardizing the formula as much as we can and not split it. Although a lot of people would agree that anyways the cars right now are not are not equal. There's so much of a variation. But hey, guess what? I don't want to add one more variation there.
Yes, we
I
don't.
would rather I would rather give everyone the Mercedes engines.
Ah, nice point. Yes, yes, even Ferrari for that matter. But everybody that has one uniform thing right now is the tires,
Yeah.
the Pirelli tires.
Yes.
And now there's been another discussion where there could be they've thought about it and they've completely, it's just rumor that the teams might just be allowed to choose out of whatever four compounds are available through the year. So if Ferrari tomorrow turns around and says, well, I'm great with the soft tire and I can hold it in Spain, Catalonia. I don't want to get the medium and the hard. I want to get the soft and the medium and go faster, maybe do an extra stop.
Yeah, I think hats off to people trying to think how to spice up the sport. Like we've not heard that since quite a lot of time. But to me, again, they're looking down a very technical route.
Yes.
I think it's good to spice up the tires, etc.
Yes.
But Pirelli isn't dumb. Okay, they know from a safety point of view which tire is needed and which is not.
Correct.
Okay, and very crucially, the cost will be humongous. Imagine all the compounds have to be taken to almost every possible race because never know which team wants what, or I mean logistically it's a big nightmare in my view.
Yes, yes, shipping all that freight is already quite difficult and races are so close by and sorry, that's why we lost the last two podcasts. Now now you heard it from the horse's mouth. But before we sign off, I must remind you that the Monaco Grand Prix is around the corner, and well, it's really really nice. And if any few things that we should be there, you should just fly us down there, and we'd be happy to cover for you in as many words as we can. Do not forget, we're available everywhere thanks to Kunal Shah, who takes a good 4.5 hours to actually edit and upload this. I must give him all the credit of putting us on softwares that I've never heard of. Spreakers of the worlds and MyTunes and iTunes and oh my god.
Oh, we are by the way on Groove Shark as well now. So if you're on Groove Shark, get us
Groove
there.
Shark it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the 12-year-olds that like Groove Shark, go for it, gang up and listen to us as many times as you can, and we keep bringing you Formula One uninterrupted every week, almost.